Hello and welcome to the Federal. The spine-chilling murder of Shraddha Walkar by her live-in partner Aftab Amin Poonawalla in Delhi has generated a lot of pain, anger, and fear. What's more shocking is experts and police say that it is not a crime of passion, like something that would have happened at the spur of the moment, but it was a well-planned and executed murder. The police accessed his browsing history and found him to have searched for various murder related information. And Shraddha's family members and her friends have also told few news channels that Shraddha had mentioned episodes of domestic violence between them. A survey by Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health says 1 in 3 women in India is likely to have been subjected to intimate partner violence, but only 1 in 10 of these women formally report the offense. Before we get into the discussion, please note that if you or anyone you know is subjected to intimate violence in any form, be it emotional or physical, remind them that it is not okay. Remind them that it is not the norm and that they deserve the best. Get out of the place, get out of the relationship, get help. Many women are conditioned to give the benefit of doubt, like he beats me only when he's angry, or he beats me only when he's drunk or jealous. He should not beat, period. Now, to talk on intimate partner violence, I have Dr. Arun B Nair, psychiatrist at Trivandrum Medical College with me. Doctor, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
My first question is, how is intimate partner violence different from domestic violence? This term itself is actually rather complex, don't you think? Intimate and violent. So how can someone so intimate or someone who has been very caring and loving to his or her partner also get violent?
Yeah, the term domestic violence is an umbrella term of sorts, which subscribes a lot of issues, a parent beating a child, maybe a partner beating another partner, and things like that. It can also include elder abuse and whole lot of other things. But intimate partner violence is a very specific terminology, which includes only physical violence or any other kind of violence between two partners who are intimately associated with each other. The term itself is an oxymoron of sorts when you know that, you are intimate with a person and you are showing violence. But as is said, always human beings have this basic tendency to show displeasure, angst, and violence at people who are very close to them. If you are ill because of any reason, you may shout at a person who is providing you with the best of the possible care. So similarly, this kind of phenomena happens. And what is the reason behind this intimate partner violence is that, as you have already rightly pointed out in the introductory part itself, it's a culturally sanctioned phenomena which is largely accepted in different parts of India. So there was this very interesting finding from National Family Health Survey, which was published not long back, that a significant number of women in India endorse intimate partner violence. They say that there are certain reasons for which the husband should become violent at wife. One interesting example was that if the wife is not taking care of children, husband is legitimately authorized to show violence. This kind of thought process stems out of this deeply rooted middle class sensibilities of sorts, which are essentially patriarchal in nature. So we have to change with modern times. As you have very rightly pointed out, physical violence is not acceptable if done on any person, be it a child, be it a female, be it a male, be it a transgender. Physical violence is not acceptable. It's a crime, and you have to raise your voice against it.
Doctor, just like you said, I was actually thinking along the terms on, how some women think that it is fine, women or transgender or men also, they think that it is fine that this is happening because, they think that they either deserve it or they think that others have it even worse. I at least have someone along with me. So all these thoughts, where does it has its root?
The fundamental root is from a faulty style of parenting, which all of us are used to right from our very early days. This type of parenting is what is called the authoritarian parenting, in which there is absolute discipline and no affection at all. The father, the head of the family, dictates the terms and everybody is supposed to follow him. And again, there is this very faulty kind of communication called switchboard communication, which used to be the pattern maybe a generation early. If you are supposed to say something to the father, you have to route it through your mother. You cannot say it openly in front of the father. If you want some money to go for a class tour or something, you have to make the mother recommend it to the father. And that used to be, again, a very patriarchal kind of a concept. So people who are brought up in this way, they are used to witnessing physical violence. They are used to witnessing their father shouting abusive words at mother and anybody else. And everybody thinking that this kind of violent behavior is for the benefit of the family. So this is an idea, very faulty idea, which is drilled into the head of the youngsters right from the time they can remember anything that has happened in their life. And when they grow up, what happens in your life before 12 years of age casts a very strong impression in your mind, because it is only from 12 years of age that most people develop this skill called critical thinking, the ability to analyze and evaluate an incident or event and view it from both sides and take only the acceptable parts and throw away what is not acceptable. But before 12 years of age, as we all know, whatever we witness creates a very strong impression. You start imbibing, imitating, and impersonating such kind of behavior. So boys who have been witnessing these kind of things think that it is legitimate and okay for them to demonstrate violence on their partners. And females who have been brought up in a way in which they have seen their mothers being beaten up think that it is okay for their partner. So they compare the percentage of physical violence which their mothers used to get from their fathers and the percentage they get from their partners. And they think that anyway, it is much less than what my mom used to get. So it is okay. And just like what you have rightly pointed out, I have got a partner at least. What will happen if he leaves me? So that is exactly the reason why whenever I get a chance to speak to any adolescent female, whether it is in a school or a college or anything, I tell them very strongly, the first purpose of your life at present is to become financially, socially, and emotionally independent. You should study, get a job, and become financially independent so that you can raise your voice and you can ensure that your voice is listened to. Otherwise, you will end up landing in toxic relationships which lack democracy at all, and you have to just follow the instructions given by the toxic partner.
Viewers, the doctor said a very important point here. How a child, how an individual is being brought up matters a lot. It factors in a lot. We might think that we are disciplining our children, we are disciplining them by being very strict, but it might have adverse effects. We should actually find a perfect way to parent our child, which would be beneficial for the child in the long run. So, doctor, my next question would be: at what point should a woman or either partner for that matter should think of taking help or even leaving the relationship?
The most important aspect of any relationship is the aspect of love between the partners. And love has got four specific components. Number one is intimacy. Number two is passion. Number three is commitment. And number four is democracy. Intimacy means when you are an isolated entity, not having a partner, not in a relationship, you take into consideration only your interests while you plan your everyday activities. But once you are into a relationship, you take into consideration the interest of your partner also while planning everything. That is intimacy. Passion is a physical attraction towards a person. It starts with appreciation of beauty. It involves sexual attraction, but the intensity of this aspect comes down slowly as the relationship progresses. Commitment means even after you are in a relationship, you may meet so many people in your life as part of your official profession or anything else. But you may feel attracted towards their beauty. You may feel an admiration towards their intellect, but keeping healthy boundaries in all those relationships so that it does not impact your primary relationship is commitment. And fourth one, the most important one in modern times, is democracy. It's the ability and the right of a person to exercise his opinion, to exercise his difference of opinion, to ensure that this difference of opinion is listened to at least and not just ignored. If there is no democracy in a relationship, that happens to be a toxic relationship. So when you should exit from a relationship, as you have very rightly pointed out, people break up for silly reasons and then, think about it and, feel guilty about what they have done. So definitely If you feel that your partner is violating you as a person, physically or in any other ways, talk to him. Sit down and talk to him. Tell him that this kind of an attitude is unacceptable. You can reach a consensus regarding, fights are unavoidable in a family setup. There will be difference of opinion. There will be small fights. But what is the boundary of a healthy difference of opinion? No physical violation, number one. Number two, no abusive terminologies as much as possible. These are the two fundamental things. So you should convince your partner about this, and you should tell him that if these are violated, it will be difficult to continue in this relationship. So there are people who use abusive language, but even for them, physical violence is unacceptable, because at the spur of a moment, a mild physical violence can turn into something really dangerous. If you become really impulsive and angry, you take something and hit your partner, it is possible that it could be a fatal hit at times. So that is why I say that absolutely no to physical violence. And if the person, despite making your mind very clear, is continue to take you for granted, continuing to proceed with this physical violence, then it's the time to take external help. External help in the form of family members who are sensible and understanding. And the next level could be the help from a professional. Maybe a mental health professional can help this person. The person who is showing this violence may be having a personality disorder or a mood disorder or even substance use disorder. These are conditions which need professional help. Treatment, sometimes with psychotherapy, sometimes with medications. So proper treatment can solve that kind of behavior. But the person is not cooperative with any of these interventions. He is not willing to talk to you. He is not willing to talk to your family members or friends. He is not willing to cooperate for a professional intervention also. That is where it's a red flag sign very clearly. Continuing in that relationship with such a person who is not willing for any kind of negotiation is absolute harakiri for you. So it's the time in which you have to put your foot down and walk out of the relationship to save your life more than anything else.
Doctor, like you rightly pointed out, getting help is very important in such a situation. But it's not always that the woman can actually go to her parents or siblings for help, because mostly live-in relationships are not accepted in our middle class families. So let's talk about the law aspect of IPV. How well is IPV covered by the law?
There are definitely the in our law which cover intimate partner violence. We have got a separate act which covers, this kind of domestic violence. Prevent that. There, the term domestic violence is used. Domestic Violence Prevention Act is there, and there are also relevant sections in the Indian Penal Code which give a lot of power and authority to females to raise their voice whenever they come across any kind of such intimate partner violence. But the problem is not the lack of laws in our country, as we know very well. It's the lack of empowerment regarding laws and this reluctance to use the law to our benefit in most situations. So what happens is people, especially females who are the receiving end of intimate partner violence, think or hope that the partner will become okay by the next day. Maybe after 1 week, he may not show such kind of behavior. And they keep on postponing. And this kind of postponing can finally one day end up in a tragic situation where this person may lose his mind and resort to a real violence which can amount to even loss of life of the person. So that is exactly the reason why we need self-help groups or legal assistance for females who are facing intimate partner violence. So as per the law, if a lady who is facing intimate partner violence goes to a police station and gives a written complaint, it is the responsibility of the police officials to take necessary action, to inquire into that matter, intervene in that matter, and do what is necessary. If that person is behaving in a way in which he subscribes to criminal behavior, they have to act upon it, register a case, and go ahead. So maybe many of the police stations, they do a little bit of counseling or negotiation for that matter. And if you find that this person is behaving oddly, definitely you should suggest a professional help. Go to a counselor or a psychiatrist or psychotherapist, whoever it is, and get the necessary help. Most often, when a police person asserts like that, many people do agree. And there are situations where even, in such situations, females say that I have went to the police station, did not get justice. We can, of course, file a complaint before the court of law also directly. If you are in a marital relationship, you can approach the family court for that. But if you are not in a marital relationship, with a live-in relationship, the other courts of law will be definitely hearing what you say. And, since this live-in relationship at present is not legally, banned or anything, definitely there is a choice to get help from there. You can, write down, document whatever problems you face from the partner, and you can submit your prayer before the court that we need a professional help in the form of a counseling or something. Most often we see that courts will give an order, pass an order directing this couple to get help from a particular center, maybe most often government centers, and will direct the professional there, the psychiatrist there, to file a report about their marital issues and how far they are compatible in future. These are some of the legal options which we should know and exercise in case of facing intimate partner violence.
Thank you, Doctor. Viewers, Dr. Arun here helped us understand IPV and how it should be identified and what should be done upon realization. What can we, ordinary people shocked by such killings as Shraddha's, do to bring change and prevent such violence? We need to stop judging women for the choices they make. Parents should not abandon their children in the name of protection just because they don't approve their choices or they went against the values that the parents taught the children. Communication lines should always be open. When women realize they made a mistake in choosing a partner, they should be allowed to come back and, most importantly, get help. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for more news and updates. Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.